Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the only podcast that's running 16, 5 and 1 at Charlie Pick. Joining me on the brown couch in the facility. It was a bloody good week for our teams.
Great week for our teams. It's unusual being in Danny's seat, and
so close.
It's so close. It's emotional.
Yeah.
And I would apologise to Danny, but he's been off living the dream. He was at Lincoln Financial. He had the best time possible watching his Eagles win over a plucky Giants team. So happy to sit here in this seat and another great round of football. Although a few surprises along the way, a few games that we were pretty confident picking last week, we were way off.
Yeah. Some teams really did shit the bed this week, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Let's get straight into it, mate. Straight into the 2-minute drill. I want to throw you to one of those two games that I think especially was teams that have shot themselves in the foot going forward. And I know it's only week 9, week 8, whatever we're in. Real playoff blows already. So I want your opinion of whose loss was worse. Either the Bengals they were 15 points up late, heading into the last, which I think last week we said there's only been a couple of teams that have lost that late. I'm not sure they were that late, but against a New York Jets team that hadn't won yet, that's as late as you need to be. Or the Falcons, who got routed by the Dolphins, who have looked insipid in the last few weeks.
So I think this was worse for the Bengals, and not because you would say that the Jets have showed the least promise all season and felt like, we were talking last week about whether they were going to go 17-0 for the season. But I think it's bad for the Bengals because they are hanging on tight on the hope that Joe Burrow comes back and they can still make the playoffs and make a go at it. And a loss like that hurts because they have to bank wins against teams like the Jets if they're going to have just enough points on the board for Burrow to get them to the playoffs. So that, to me, could really affect their season. It's looking pretty tough now for them to really make a run at the playoffs in a division that they had a chance of still being in contention.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Besides the Ravens getting a bit of a surprise win, they were far enough back that as long as they kept winning against teams that they expect, like the Jets, they were in prime position to be, having a good crack at the AFC North. Obviously, the Steelers losing would have helped as well. So I agree. I think it's worse for the Bengals because I feel like the Falcons were kind of almost playing with house money, that no one was expecting them. They've still got the Buccaneers in their division. Everyone's kind of expecting them to win, but no one knows the AFC North at the moment. It's wide open.
It is wide open. It's a mess of a division. And looking at all those results, though, yes, it was bad for the Falcons losing to the Dolphins that they should beat. They did look like a mess, though. They looked like an absolute mess on the field. The wheels fell off completely. But I think the big loser out of these four, on a theoretical basis, is the Dolphins.
Yep.
I think the worst thing you can do to the Dolphins right now is give them hope that Tua might be their quarterback, hope that McDaniel might be their coach, because that is a team that is not good enough to contend. We're going to get to the other results in the AFC East later in the show. But, the Jets are at the bottom of that division. The Dolphins are nowhere near the top two spots in that division. The top two teams are now neck and neck for who's going to actually win that division for the year. The Dolphins need a reset. They need a proper quarterback. Tua's fine, but he's never going to get them there.
No.
He's actually never going to get them beyond a first-round loss in the wild card. It's just not going to happen. And you wouldn't say that this one win means that McDaniel is a good coach and all the pressure is off. The same pressure is still on, but the worst thing is maybe now they have enough hope to think, we're turning it around. That's terrible. You want to lose out. You want to tear it down to the studs and start again. That's what they need to do.
Especially when the Jets do get a win, they're all starting to go, maybe we're number one pick worthy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, the Jets, we've been saying for years that there are good players on that roster, and there are. They just have not come together as a team. They pick number one. They start to put it together. They're, once again, you're right. The Dolphins get further and further behind. It could be that this win is a thing that holds the Dolphins back for another season.
Yeah, I don't reckon it is, but there's a lot of other problems. Going back to the Jets, though, there is a lot of talks now coming close to the trade deadline of those good players that we're saying getting pillaged.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. You wonder what the mindset is inside the building because, every team, like I know at the Bills, everyone's talking about, can we get Garrett Wilson? We need a receiver. Is he on the market? The Bills realistically going to trade Garrett Wilson to someone in the division? Probably not. Would they let him go because you would say he's the one elite player that's managed to maintain elite play over the last 2 years of just an absolute mess in New Jersey? So maybe they've got some players that they could trade away for picks, but I don't know.
You have to keep something in the
That's
building.
it. You have to have Garrett Wilson to me is the.
What are you selling to the fans if Garrett's gone?
Well, that's exactly right. And what, let's say you draft a magical quarterback at one. Who's he throwing the ball to? And it's the problem that happens with every team that gets that first pick and picks a star quarterback is their first season. They've got bogus receivers and they've got no offensive line. At least you've got a receiver that this new quarterback can just keep throwing it to and he is going to make plays and you're going to score touchdowns. You can't give someone like that away. And on defense, Sauce Gardner has underperformed for the promise of Sauce Gardner. Maybe he'd do better in another location, but you take him away, what have you got?
They've only just been paid, both of them as well.
That's right. I don't think that who knows what Jets management thinks half the time. You don't know which brother's actually running the joint most years. But, I don't think Aaron Glenn wants to give up stars. I think Aaron Glenn wants to cut a bunch of players who've not shown the kind of grit that he wants. I'm sure there will be people that leave the Jets and are traded away. I don't think it's at the top of the roster, though.
No. The AFC North, we've kind of spoken about already. Lamar back looks like this Thursday. Are they, even though they're 2-5, are they still the favourites to take out the AFC North?
It's crazy that a 2-5 team could.
I think officially
actually
they're
do
favourites, which is outrageous.
It is outrageous. Look, it's possible. It's obviously possible. But I don't think people realise or remember enough that they were losing before Lamar got injured. And that's the simplest thing. Everyone always remembers,
one of their 2 wins, he was not there.
That's
they
exactly
won in the weekend.
right.
So they were 1-5 before that.
Yeah. So I think that, look, it's entirely possible. Their roster is still great. They have a great coach. When they play their best football, they're terrifying. Mm-hmm. But they played at one game this season in round one, and they've not played it since. And it's a long way to come back because it's not just getting Lamar back. There are teams who are on a roll now. Mm. There are teams who are really starting to cook. They might get the band back together, but they've got to win a lot of games in a row to take that division. They've got to really win a whole lot of games between now and the end of January. Oh, sorry, January, start of January. Yeah. That's a lot of games for a team that has to get the chemistry back, has to get the timing back against teams that are on a roll that, have actually had their mid-season lulls and are coming out of them. I think it's a massive uphill battle for the Ravens at this stage.
And you look at it, next week's halfway through the season. Week 9.
Wow.
So,
kind of emotional. I'm sad about that.
Yeah, I know. It's gone very quickly. So if they're going to get on a roll, they need to get on it now.
Yeah.
They're going to have to win probably 7 of those 9, you'd reckon? Comfortably?
Yeah, absolutely have to win. Yeah, to take the division and they'd have to
Aaron
win
Rodgers
7.
will take that. He'll be, I know you're saying he's washed and things like that, but he'll be taking it very personally that they're... And that'll be going through their locker room that, boys, we're 3 games clear, 2 games clear or whatever, and they're saying we're done.
Yeah. I have more faith in the Steelers than I do in the Ravens at this stage. I think that's the sane approach to have.
Lamar's coming back, but their defense is still being smashed. He doesn't play defense, and there's defense. I think they're the second or third worst defense in the league.
Yeah, and they've got big holes. They're missing great players, but also they're just not. They're disjointed. Like the line and the secondary aren't working together. Like they're not. They're not in rhythm at all as a defense. And we're used to being terrified of the Ravens defense, and no one is at this stage. And also you look at them, like Lamar's coming back, that's great. If you sell out to stop the run with the Ravens, if you go, do you know what, we're going to stop Derrick Henry, and teams have done it. If you say we're going to stop Derrick Henry and we're going to have a spy on Lamar and not let him use his legs, then yeah, they've got some good receivers and Lamar can throw the ball, but they will not have the rhythm that they need to do that. If you sell out and stop the run, it's going to be
score enough for what their defense is going to be.
That's exactly right, and I think that makes it a real uphill battle. Derrick Henry is incredible, but he can't do it all, and we know that based on what we've seen this season.
Yep.
They're 5-2 because he can't do it all.
Yeah, 2-5.
Oh, 2 and 5.
2 and 5. Speaking of poor defenses, and I think these guys are officially the worst defense behind even Tennessee, which is really bad. The Cowboys. Jerry said they're possibly one player away on defense. For his little caveat, though, for the right price.
For the right price. See, they had the player.
Yeah, was the wrong price.
Well, it's
but
all
now
very convenient.
and like I know Packers had on, he was the best player on the field last night.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, that's why we paid him money. You know, he only had one sack, but he created every other tackle. Like, every time he was near, Rodgers knew he was near. Like,
yeah. It created the pressure that they needed. That was largely the difference. And really did put a lid on what Rodgers was able to do. And Jerry Jones, I mean, it's just the bullshit narrative machine that is Jerry Jones. It's like no one watching them plays thinks they're just one player off the defense.
We're going to go through the Broncos and Cowboys, but they're the worst defense. Their players couldn't have been more open.
Yeah, and so Jerry can say what he likes. What there is a real chance of happening is the best season of Dak Prescott's life. Probably the best season as a career. He's on track for the best season of his career. He's playing the best football he's played. There's an argument to be made he's the best quarterback in the league this season. And it'll be wasted because the defense can't hold up their end of the bargain. And you know what's going to happen. They'll make wild card and it'll fall apart in spectacular circumstances, as it always does.
It'll be a clock management issue.
It'll be a clock management issue. Or do you know what? The defense will have 12 on the field. It's not just, we need one guy at the trade deadline. Happy for Jerry Jones to prove me wrong. As much as I hate to say it, the league is better when the Cowboys are doing something. And not just because they get every primetime slot. They're going to be playing Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of those big games. It's good if the Cowboys can be competitive. But no, there's a lot more that needs to be done on defense. They just haven't got it.
He's kidding himself. We did kind of say last week you were starting to drink the lemonade a little bit, or the Kool-Aid, whatever they drink over there, but they're too up and down. And their defense, he has to outplay their defense, and you can see it. He threw 2 picks, I think, on the weekend. They played really, really well against him, but he's in that kind of like Josh Allen was maybe 3 years ago, where every play needs to be a big play.
Yeah, or at least he feels that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Every throw, he feels like it's got to be a 40-yard down to George Pickens, who's toe tapping on the sideline. It can't be just work our way down and score, because as soon as they give the ball back, it's scored the other end.
That's right, and quickly, and like they're Swiss cheese on defense, and it is that thing of, when you've got CeeDee Lamb and you've got Pickens, you want to throw to them and make great plays.
Like Jake Ferguson.
You've got all of that, but it is going to come undone sometimes, and you can't try to win the game on every throw. Just you can't do it.
Some other games that had some interesting narratives. Just a couple of sentences about each, mate. Chargers well and truly over Minnesota.
Actually, just happy to see the Chargers kind of back in a bit of form and have some rhythm, and big problems at Minnesota. Big problems at...
Well, Wentz is gone.
Wentz is gone, which means JJ McCarthy is going to be back. And I still think that we will talk for years to come about the fact that Minnesota with Sam Darnold would have been in contention, and as it is, they're having a season that is trouble. They can believe in JJ all they like, but Minnesota, you've got no confidence in them. After a pretty good start to the season, you've got no confidence in them.
He's still only thrown 41 passes, I think, and we're 8 weeks done. So who knows what's going to happen there. Houston, San Fran getting beaten, which I think we've seen this the last few weeks. It was just how long can San Fran hold on? Looked like the injuries finally took their toll.
Yeah, you wouldn't watch this game and think that Houston all of a sudden is back and playing great offense and where they were 2 years ago to be feared. You would just say that
great defense.
Yeah, the defense is playing really, really well, and they needed to, like San Francisco, like they did a great job of stopping San Francisco, who the previous week had got the run game going, and Mac Jones was making some nice passes, and they shut that down. And San Francisco, you can only scheme up so much. Saleh can only do so much on that defense with the holes that are there. And whilst some younger players have had to step into bigger roles and played out of their skin for a few weeks, it's also to be expected rookies can't do that week in, week out yet.
It took its toll.
Yeah, absolutely.
5-5 from the Patriots, won 5 in a row, despite the fact that Myles Garrett had 5 sacks, 6 tackles, 5 of them sacks.
Incredible game from Myles Garrett. Dealing with the Patriots of it all at the moment, they are playing well above expectation. It's not fluky. They're systematic, and they're playing as a team. Vrabel has done a great job of really pulling that team together. They've had a talented roster for a while, and they went shopping in the offseason, and those purchases have done very, very well. This was a game where Mac Hollins, who's been quiet, came over from the Bills. They paid him. Like the Patriots really paid him, and he was making a difference and making some of those plays that he was making last year. But Myles Garrett, he's as good a defensive player as there is out there, but was smashing his helmet, so frustrated at the end of the game. And you could see that real frustration of, he plays a game like that and they're nowhere near contending. It's insanely frustrating. But you can't help but think, dude, why'd you sign?
You did it to yourself.
Why did you think it was going to be different at the Browns? It was never going to be different. And it is just a shame. They're wasting him as a talent, and he made a decision to take the bag. He could have I don't think he was ever going to sit out the season, but he could have played this season on no contract and just named his price at the end of the season. As it is, he is stuck there, and that is a real shame.
Danny Boy, boots on the ground, watching his Eagles get their running game back, over 250 rushing yards against the Giants, who 2 weeks ago beat them.
Good bounce back against the Giants for the Eagles. I mean, I don't think we thought that the Eagles were going to get beaten by the Giants twice, but the Giants are the frisky team of the NFL, and the Giants once again would be disappointed with how they played, disappointed that they didn't stop that run, disappointed that they weren't more competitive. But they're still feeling
Scatterbo during the game
was huge.
And did you see it? It was not good.
His
ankle was that way.
Yeah, it's not good. It actually reminded me of when Breece Hall did his knee in his rookie year, just as he was flying as a running back talent, and it's a real shame. And you could tell that whole Giants team was like they knocked the wind out of them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Jackson Dart was physically, again, throwing his helmet, which fair enough in this case. Like watching his, I'm presuming one of his good mates now. He's sitting there and his ankle was literally sideways.
His significant other, you would say.
Yeah.
His significant other in the world. Scatterbo. Real shame but that's a shame for the Giants, who, despite being frisky now, one of their big weapons that has gone. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back.
100%.
But good for the Eagles, good for Saquon to really run like that. And it's almost
a little bit of a groin look like. Did sit out most of the last. Just keep an eye on that.
That's an interesting nugget. I didn't clock that. And that is very interesting, because you will say that the Eagles are sputtering to life. They'll have a week where their passing game is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And now a week like this where their running game is where it needs to be. They're starting to get it back together off their bye, and it feels like they've done the hard work to sort of start to get it back together again. Their season's not over, obviously. No. But there was a lot of
I'm just hoping that it was we got this in the bag, let's just rest him, or because he was running down the sideline. I think he got pushed out and definitely shook his head and was like, it didn't look good, but we're a long way away. Danny didn't tell me he saw that, so we'll wait and see. I reckon it was just precautionary, but just something to keep an eye on. Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, again, just dominating the Titans. We expected this one, but just pushing that MVP case harder and harder.
Harder and harder, and this is like the tail, the three standout running back appearances. This was like we had Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, 12 carries for 153, 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown. No one expected the Titans to be the team that stops him, but he was unstoppable. And once again, the Colts just looking like a complete football team. They are absolutely a contender this year, and I don't think anyone can feel too bad about that. They've worked hard to be where they're at. And Jonathan Taylor, geez, he's just so fast. Like when he breaks through, it is like you have to check that you're not actually accidentally watching it in 1.5 speed, 2 speed. He's just so fast. Yeah. And I know it's silly to say that about a running back. They're all really fast. But there's something about the pace that he's hitting the gap and the pace that he's breaking through. I haven't seen anyone run that fast before. Like it's freakish to the eye and mildly unnerving.
Making grown men look slow.
Yeah, wild. Yeah, grown men who are professional athletes look really, really slow.
The last one, your Bills getting the job pretty comfortably against Carolina.
Comfortably against Carolina, and this was the third big running back performance of the week. An incredible 19 carries for 216 by James Cook and 2 touchdowns. The big criticism of the Bills when they lost 2 in a row before the bye, everyone was like, why aren't you using James Cook? And obviously...
We were saying it.
Yeah, and obviously the message came through. They used him, and no one had to do anything else. And the passing game is still not where it needs to be for the Bills. But Josh Allen was like 12 of 19, 100 and maybe 200 yards or something in the air, but didn't have to do a lot because you've got James Cook doing that. James Cook, it's the highest number of yards by a Bills running back since 1976, and he sat out from halfway through the third quarter. So if this had been a competitive game and we had to keep a team at bay and keep running, how many yards would he have had? Like it was an incredible.
Have we had a 300-yard rushing game before?
I don't think so, but that feels like some high school shit.
Yeah,
but he absolutely could have got there. But from the Bills' perspective, good to be back. Like this is the kind of game they needed out of the break. We said before they were 8-0 out of the bye under McDermott. A few other things have happened, which maybe suggest that the Bills were more concerned than they were letting on. But McDermott is starting to call players on defense, sharing it with Bobby Babich officially, but it feels like he's calling. But the other big thing is that the names that came in for the Bills, Larry Ogunjobi, Michael Hoyt, stud. Hoyt was the best player on defense by far. And those two not being there for the first 6 weeks was a big deal. But Maxwell Harrison, who'd only had his IR training window open for 6 days, came in, played, landed one of the biggest hits of the game and showed the kind of closing speed that made him a first-round draft pick. So I would say that the Bills' best football is ahead of them. A lot of the ways that people were concerned about them, I think, will pass, and they will be back on the list of contenders this year.
It's just whether the Patriots can keep you at bay for that number 1 spot in the AFC. We'll get
yes. We'll find out in a couple of weeks. We play them again.
Yes, that's it. All right. The deep dives we're going into, we've obviously already spoken a little bit about the Cowboys, so probably more the Broncos side of things. Bo Nix, again, playing against witches' hats, but did it well.
Yeah, and building confidence in what the Broncos can do, like confidence in him, it was a dominant performance at quarterback and sharing the ball around really well. And for a second-year quarterback, he's obviously getting through his reads. He's obviously not just throwing to the first option a lot. And we've always known that he's a competitor, but his skill set is starting to meet that potential. And so that's really exciting for the Broncos offense. And at the same time, their defense was starting to play really well as well, making it difficult.
Absolutely shut them down.
Yeah, for a Dallas team who had almost been scoring at will for a few weeks in a row and been explosive, they really were able to shut that down. And so that's really promising for Sean Payton and the Broncos, who on that AFC West, with the Chargers appearing to be back in form and the Chiefs returning to being the Chiefs, the Broncos need to play games like this to be competitive. You know, they need to beat teams like Dallas who are tough to beat. They need to win them to stay competitive in that division. But they're doing really well, really promising for the Broncos. And great, I have to say, they're wearing their old jerseys and their old helmets.
We got the helmet somewhere.
Got the...
Oh, we did.
Maybe you took it home. Maybe I sold it at Cash Converters.
You must have sold it because it was here.
But the old, the helmet we remember from the Elway days.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, go back to that. What possible...
And the orange jersey.
Yeah, what possible reason do you have to not make that?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so obviously a better kit. It's unbelievable.
And that is a perfect little segue into the next game, which is my Packers, and I'll talk shit about my Packers for sure. Am I the only one who thought the Steelers helmet, delicious, uniform, fucking terrible?
Unbelievably bad uniform.
Oh,
you are not on your own. When I first turned the
I put
game
a poll
on,
up online and everyone like, I love these. I'm like, this is shit.
No, first time when I turned the TV on, I was like, is this a prank? And they've all not worn pants.
Nice
It was like the Goldie Hawn, Woody Harrelson movie Wildcats. If you've ever seen it, it's about a high school football team. They rock up to training not wearing pants.
Oh.
And you see all their butts lined up. And I thought that's what it was like, that flesh coloured. It looked just the whole thing looked utterly ridiculous.
I'm glad.
It was like, you know, when someone puts a jersey concept that they've designed on Twitter. This is my jersey concept. That's what it was. It was someone off Twitter put up a concept.
From 1953 or something like that as a throwback.
Yeah, no one should have gone along with that. It was terrible.
I do enjoy the throwbacks and, you know, looking back to the past. The Packers have done it really well. But, yeah, that was one that should stay in the past, I think. But the Packers in white look great. And for the game, we'll get into the game. We did deny Rodgers the chance to become the fifth quarterback, I believe, fifth or sixth, to defeat every team. I'm not sure, unless we play him in playoffs, that we're going to see them or see him again. So,
well, my question about that, this is getting away from the game itself, but I've been talking up how washed Rodgers is for a couple of years now. He's not as washed as I had suggested.
No, I've got lots of stats.
And the question that I had coming out, having watched him for a few weeks, he was talking like this was going to be his last year.
Yeah.
Do you think he has enough reason for this to be his last year if he's playing this well?
I wouldn't be surprised if he changed his mind. I do think it will be his last year, regardless, unless they get like fucking that close to the Super Bowl and he keeps that drive. But I don't see. Last night, like, we'll get into the game now. I think we showed just how, or even last week against the Bengals, their defense gave up 400 plus yards. They gave up Jordan Love 360 in the air, 20 completed passes in a row, which is never. Aaron Rodgers never did that at the Packers.
Wow, that's a great stat.
So, and he's 27, so we always win. Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers all won Super Bowl when they were 27. So Jordan Love's 27 next week. It's pretty much signed, sealed, delivered that we're going to win the Super Bowl. So bad luck to them.
Everyone else, let's pack up and go home now.
Give it up. But no, we did.
So TMac's numerology says that the Packers have this 1-1.
We do. They did actually play really well against our running game. Josh Jacobs didn't have, I think he was 12 carries for 33 yards or something like that.
Which is uncharacteristic given the season he's had so far.
Correct, yeah. Manuel Wilson came in and he was 40 or 50 yards. So they did kind of split it pretty well, but Jacobs was quiet. Tucker Kraft on National Tight Ends Day balled out 7 catches for 140 odd, 2 touchdowns. So it was very satisfying to watch the second half. We did miss 2 field goals in the first half, which just we were down by 9 and it was just like, oh no, we're in trouble here. But 5 straight drives in a row we scored, up by 16 at one point, and just kind of cruised our way home, which was nice. It was satisfying.
And you would have to say that you look at the way these two teams played, and they're teams in very different situations.
Yes.
There's obviously more hope at the Steelers than you might have expected at the start of the season. But once again, they're in that sort of Tomlin trap of they will probably have a win. Well, they'll have a winning season.
Yeah.
They've
got a tough couple of weeks, though.
Got a tough couple of weeks, but they'll make the wild card, most likely.
At worst.
Yeah, at worst, make the wild card. Are they good enough to beat someone in the wild card probably not again, and which means they're exactly where they were before. Compared to the Packers, who are younger, faster, and are playing well beyond that. And, their promise, like you say, is Super Bowl, if not, we're talking NFC Championship game. They're at that. That's their expectation. Well, very different stories.
We're currently the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Wow.
Don't know if you knew that, but I did because it's all over my socials. All the Packers getting into the NFC North trash talk is brutal. They are. I don't get involved because it's that brutal, but we're sitting first, and I think rightly so. We're the only one lost team. I know everyone hates that. We're only the one lost team in the NFC, and I think we got a lot more upside still to come.
I was going to say,
Watson coming back was huge.
Yeah,
he played a great game,
and makes your offense a lot more scary. Like it really does make a big difference. So, what do you think it was? Because there was a lull. There was you guys were wobbly. You don't have the extra
game
one
or in the season.
In the season, okay. No, you don't have an extra one at the end of your record if you weren't wobbly. So, what do you think it was, and has that been resolved?
The Browns, it was literally 5 minutes, a brain explosion for 5 minutes. And I think I said that after that. I thought we'll pass those. I thought we'll beyond the time where we, take a couple of plays, give it to Josh Jacobs and just run it down their throat, and we'll win the game that way. We try to play a bit too fancy and an interception and things like that. So I put that down to a brain explosion. And I think the Cowboys, we've said, their offense is still elite. And that was a real coming out game for Pickens. So whether that was just coming up against them at the wrong time, our defense got showed up a little bit, which I think was a good thing in the end because we fixed a few things after the bye, and we've been elite since then. So
it's all looking good in Green Bay.
Yeah,
and nice for the Packers to beat Rodgers.
Yeah, that's it.
Good
for Jordan Love, especially. They had a nice moment at the end. They'll swap jerseys and be ready. But that's enough about the Packers, mate, and that's enough for this week. We'll be back on Thursday with Week 9, like I said, halfway through the season. Make sure you get around us halfway through the season, though. Absolutely.
Like, subscribe, comment, share. If you know someone that's into football, tell them about the podcast. Get them on board. We love talking about it. We thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And this week coming up, like you say, we're rounding the halfway mark. It's starting to get serious. A few seasons are going to be pretty much over, and a few are going to come alive. And there's lots of good football yet to play.
Go Pack, go.